Our first meeting back, just a reminder. Push your button. You ready? Yep. All right, good afternoon, councillors, staff, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our February Ordinary Council meeting, our first for the year. So please be advised that this council meeting is being recorded. By speaking at the meeting, you agree to being recorded. Please ensure that if and when you speak, you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Cabonne Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this meeting. The recording of this meeting will be made publicly available on Council's website. All right, before we call item one, everybody's probably quite well aware of the passing of long-term Councillor Lillian Brady from Cobar, who passed away on the 7th of February. So Lillian was New South Wales' longest serving female mayor, serving 2 decades as mayor and 4 as a councillor. Her advocacy on behalf of her community was legendary and continued right until her death, as she sought a new hospital, better infrastructure and fair return of the mining royalties that flowed from the town of New South Wales Office of State Revenue. As a tribute to her dedicated and long service, the state government agreed to a state funeral in Cobar to mourn her passing. Please join with me in standing and observing a minute's silence in the memory of Lillian Brady. Thank you. I'll call item 1, applications for leave of absence. I have 2 applications, one from Councillor Davison and one from Councillor Mullins. Could I have somebody move that, please?
I'll move that.
Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Newsom. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That is carried. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Could I have somebody move that, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Travers. Do we have any declarations of interest? No. Councillor Nash.
Yeah, item 26, Mr Mayor, actual conflict of interest, nephew proposed.
Thank you. Item 26. Councillor Weaver.
Item 18.
Item 18. Thank you. Anything further? Nothing further. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 3, declaration for political donation. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Newsom, seconded by Councillor Oldham. Does anybody have anything to declare? Nothing. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 4 is the mayoral minute of appointment. I have tabled a report. Does anybody else have anything for the mayoral minute? Councillor Nash.
Mr Mayor, just a quick little summary of what's been going on with me. I went to the Cargo Australia Day and just wanted to let the council know how happy they are with the play equipment, the hardcover over their playground and the guns being moved and all the stuff that's going on in Cargo. They're quite happy. Plus I went over to another day where they gave us an information hour on the new owners of Cargo Inn, and plans were available to view and questions answered to the community. I think it's great news for cargo. It will be amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for the mayoral minute? Councillor Weaver?
Yes, I'd just like to firstly thank Councillor Jamie Jones for attending our Australia Day and being our ambassador for Canowindra. And I have to say too, a special thank you to Noah Jones, who helped set up and pull down and put away the things that needed to be packed up. So I thought that was really good. And I'd also like to compliment Yeovil on their celebration for the statue the other day. It was absolutely marvellous, and the turnout was great. Thank you.
Yeah, it was very good day out at Yeovil, and well said, thank you. Anybody else for mayoral minute? Nope. All right, well I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 5 is committee of the whole. Could I have somebody move that, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Trevors. Does anybody have anything for committee of the whole?
Item 23, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Batten's called item number 23. Thank you. Anybody else wish to call any items? No? All right, well, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 6 is grouping of reports, which we are grouping from items number 7 through to 10 inclusive. Could I have a mover, please?
I'll move it.
Councillor Durkin, second by Deputy Mayor Jones. Everybody okay with that? Well, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that is carried. So we move to item 11, which is the Rural Fire Service contributions. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Trevors, seconded by Councillor Durkin. Any discussion on that at all? No? All right, it's pretty self-explanatory. We're going to ask questions of the Minister about why the cost shifting has taken place. And as I indicated, and as the report indicates, we're going to write to our local member, and also we're raising this at Country Mayors. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 12 is the 2021 National General Assembly. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Trevors. Any discussion on that at all? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that is carried. Item 13 is the 2021 Australian Local Government Women's Association Annual Conference. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Nash. Okie dokie. Interested councillors?
I'm interested in attending. I did hear on the weekend when I was in Forbes that there are only 20 positions left. Oh, sorry. When I was in Forbes on the weekend, I was advised that there are only 20 positions left to go to the conference, but I would like to attend if possible, please.
Yep. Councillor Oldham. Anybody else? Councillor Nash? Yep.
Yes, I'd like to. Thank you.
Councillor Newsom? No? You're right. Councillor Weaver? No? All right. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 14 is the Regional Development Australia, RDA Central West 10 for 10 Leadership Dialogue. Could I have a mover? It was Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Newsom. Pretty good cause, I think. Any discussion on that? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? It's carried. Item 15 is the quarterly budget review. Could I have a mover, please?
We'll move that.
Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Travers. Any discussion on the quarterly budget review? Councillor Nash?
I just wondered if the survey had gone out for the Manilda Library on item 16. Whether the survey's gone out, that's all.
The which?
There was a survey going out about moving the library and extra hours. I just wondered if it had already gone out. Am I in the right spot? Quarterly budget? Yeah. Maybe I'm in the wrong spot.
Through you, Mr Chair, the answer to the question, regardless of where it sits in the business paper, is that we have drafted a questionnaire and it is to be circulated very shortly to the Manildra Library users.
Any further discussion on item 15, quarterly budget review? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 16 is the Integrated Planning and Reporting Operational Final Half-Yearly Report. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Nash. Any discussion at all on that? Nope. All very quiet. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 17 is the Building Better Regions Fund Round 5. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Travers, seconded by Councillor Nash. Any discussion on that? Councillor Newsom.
Could I ask some questions in relation to this? Obviously, this is quite a substantial sum of money that's being asked to be contributed from the Canowindra Town Improvement Fund. And I think the total amount that we're requesting or allocating for this is $1 million. Is that correct? I'm just wondering what the business case is for this and the return on investment on spending $1 million, 500 of it from the Canowindra Town Improvement Fund. What's the expectation in terms relation to the expected increase in numbers of people attending? And also, does this, or has this been discussed with members of the Canowindra community in relation to, is it one of the top 4 priorities that they'd like to see funding allocated to from the Canowindra Town Improvement Fund?
General Manager.
I'll take that question, Mr Mayor, through you. The actual grant is being prepared as we speak, so the business case and those things are being prepared, as well as the project brief and the DA. So we haven't completed that information as yet, but council would be privy to that if you want to see that grant application prior to being submitted. Equally, as you'll see in the report, it hasn't stated that it will definitely be coming from the Canowindra Town Improvement Act. First, we've got to see whether the grant is actually successful. But what we do have is the policy now in place to go back to the community if we are successful with the grant and see whether they are happy to fund it in that way. If they were not, if we were able to determine that there was significant community objection, that'd be something council would consider. But given it is a very Canowindra-based project, and we're also going for, at the same time, for $2 million for the Canowindra Main Street and River Precinct master plan process, it's felt that we've got to fund, if we're going to be successful, we've got to fund these things. As you're aware, we are transitioning the age of fishness wholly to council at the moment. So this building and this refurb would actually become council's, I suppose, asset, even though it already is, but as in the actual running of the whole thing is a council business. So return on investment would be good, but equally it's just going to get that building fit for purpose. It has accessibility issues which don't comply and things like that. So it's not simply just for business, it's also for needs basis of having an asset brought up and augmented up to today's standard when it was built some time ago. So.
Right, is there a possibility that we could defer this until such time as we've seen the business case?
Well, the grant it's got to be submitted by mid-March, but if council didn't want me to put in for that grant, council can certainly let me know, and we won't put in for the Building Better Regions Fund. We normally put these things to council without a full business case, these grants, but if for whatever reason we require that, if council wants that, we can do that. But as I said, it won't necessarily be a business case to a cost-benefit ratio or that sort of thing. That's not necessarily the requirement. When it's under $1 million, that's not required, but it would, obviously the grant application will indicate the benefits to the community of Canowindra and Cabonne, and also the tourism dollar and those sorts of things. So it's a matter for council. It's a tourism asset for council, and if it's not considered appropriate, I'm happy to that the grant doesn't go in. We're putting 2 other major Building Better Region Funds grants, so that's what we're asking for the resolution. If it's not suitable to council, certainly we would not put the application to the federal government.
Yeah, and it's certainly the case that should we be successful in the grant and the community of Canowindra doesn't want to go ahead with it, it would be a case of giving the grant money back. Simple as that. Councillor Batten jumped in before you, Councillor Walker.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. I actually want to speak in favour of the motion because a couple of reasons. One, the proposal itself actually moves the age of fishers into the 21st century in terms of implementing IT. And if you think about it in terms of the people that attract more and more of our people, we would expect to attract it from schools and younger people, and they do not respond to the old type displays that we're probably used to, people with, or my generation certainly. The second thing is that Building Better Regions Fund actually is giving priority to tourism projects. It is, I think, a one-off opportunity for us to capitalise on where the federal government wants to go in supporting the tourism in regional areas. So I think we would be very wise to actually support this motion and put it through.
Well, I'll just take it. Does anybody wish to speak against? No? I'll take another. You wish to speak for, Councillor Walker?
Yeah, I'd like to support the recommendation. To me, it's pretty important we keep this age of fishers going, and as Brad knows, the last 12 months has been very hot as far as tourism is concerned. We've got to capitalise on all that, and you've got a top team working there now that knows how to run the show, plus they've got council support. And to me, and if and when it goes to a community meeting in Canowindra, I'm confident it'll have all the support it can get.
Thank you. Look, just a last comment, and I probably can't quote you any figures, but I think the General Manager and I sat in an Age of Fishers meeting. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but they did speak about visitor numbers, as just to reinforce what you just said, Councillor Walker, that the visitor numbers over there are the best that they've seen in some time, and that was without tourist buses visiting. So it was just general visits. So just to add to that comment there.
Can I just add one comment? That talking to Anne, the last 4 or 5 months have been phenomenal as far as the income to the, and she has showed me what she's done. I'm not going to mention it here because Brad might get greedy, but there's a fair bit of money being made.
Just through, Mr Mayor, just a point of clarification too. Obviously, we're applying for these grants. We're putting a figure on what we want. What the federal government and the grant assessors they will determine what we get. So that's why some of the numbers may not end up being that. So it will also depend on if we've got 3 major Building Better Region Fund applications in. We're uncertain of how that's all going to fall out. So I suppose what I'm flagging here is that in essence our general reserves, being the capital reserves, have been used pretty extensively in the last round of Building Better Regions funding, and that amount has dwindled. And so if we're going to be successful, we've got to fund these projects out of suitable funding, and the Canowindra Town Improvement Fund, I think, will go up to around about next budget 1.5, possibly in that in that reserve, which then goes up, as we all know, nearly $250,000 each year. So we should be finding projects to use that for the community of Canowindra, but I'm cognizant of the fact that Councillor Newsom raises that we have to make sure that that the community supports it, but that doesn't mean we can get 100% of Canowindra people putting their hand up, but we'll go through a process, advertise it, go to the relevant groups and see what their feedback is prior to any vote for the actual movement of those funds as per the policy.
Councillor Weaver.
I can just have a word. Look, I've always supported the Age of Fishes. It's the biggest tourism facility in Cabonne Shire, let alone around the region. You know, and it's such a unique, natural, historic site and museum that it should be up there without question to be, you know, refurbished. It's 30 years old, you know, as Councillor Batten said. You know, kids growing up today need that IT in what they're looking at. At the moment, it's got very little of that going for it. That's where it needs to be refurbished and brought up into the 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing further. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 18 is the Events Assistance Program, and Councillor Weaver has declared an interest in this matter.
Yes, I have. It's with the Golf Club. I've got an association with the
All right. Well, if you just stay for a second, and you can be part of the discussion on the first item in that. So, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Newsom, seconded by Councillor Nash. Now we'll just discuss the Australian 3-day Orienteering Championships. Any problems with that? Everybody happy with that? All right, well, I'll individually put that, so all those in favour? Against? That is carried. Now Councillor Weaver is going to vacate on item 2, the Canowindra Golf Club. Well, part 2 of that item is the 100-year celebration for Canowindra Golf Club. So is there any discussion or questions on that? Everybody's happy with that? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Did you have time to sit down? Yeah. That was passed as per the recommendation. Item 19 is the chlorine gas leak detection units for Cabonne pools. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Jones, seconded by Councillor Travers. Pretty self-explanatory. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 20 is the decommissioned footbridge Honans Reserve Manildra. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Nash. Any discussion on that at all? Councillor Nash?
Not really a discussion, Mr Mayor. It's just, I think when the new upgrades come with the bridge anyway, this will all be gone anyway, but it's not safe. So, yeah, I think that's the best thing we can do.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Nothing further, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 21 is the cleaning of Banjo Patterson Park Yeovil toilet facilities. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Batten. Any discussion at all? No? All happy? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 22 is the policy register for the draft sewer policy. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Travers, seconded by Councillor Durkin. Any discussion at all? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 23 is in committee of the whole. Item 24 is the draft review of Carbon settlement strategy. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Nash. Any discussion at all? Nope. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 25 is DA 2016/0153/1, Intensive Agriculture Greenhouse Lot 496 DP 109 5508 621 Columbus Road. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Batten, the mover, seconded by Councillor Nash. Now require a show of hands for a division here on this. Does any discussion at all on this? Nope. Self-explanatory. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Yeah. Unanimous. Okay, we have now item 26, which Councillor Ash has declared an interest in, which is development application 2021/0049, depot and rainwater tank above ground, lot 10, section 9, DP 758643, and lot 1, DP 722107, Whitton Street, Manildra. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Travers, seconded by Councillor Newsom. Any discussion on that at all? Nope. All right, it's a division. I need a show of hands. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Councillor Nash, that was passed as per the recommendation unanimously. Item 27 is Local Heritage Fund application, police station, former 18 Belmore Street cargo. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Newsom. Any discussion at all? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 28 is questions for next meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Travers, seconded by Councillor Nash. Does anybody have any questions for next meeting? Councillor Travers.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I have a question. Just to give you a bit of background, I was approached by a member of the Kiddiell Rural Fire Service about this shed at Kiddiell. It was built a couple of years ago, and it was overlooked for a fire hydrant put in when the establishment was built. I've since spoke with Matt Christensen, and he's made some inquiries with CTW. It will cost the council about $11,000 to put that hydrant in. I'd just like a report put before the councillors.
Thank you. Taken on board.
Thank you.
Councillor Nash.
I've just noticed in some of the reports there's been disabled bladders put in the pools. I'm just wondering whether Manildra has been allocated one or not.
Through Mr Chair, I'll take that on notice, sir.
Deputy Mayor Jones.
Mr Mayor, just wondering if it's possible to get a report, please, into the condition of the Molong Caravan Park amenities block, including where it sits on the asset register, and a recommendation on a way to move forward for that as part of a bigger strategy looking into our caravan parks moving forward and how we can better utilise those through our assets. Thank you.
If I could, Mr Mayor, just quickly, should add to my question that the fire shed there is actual council property. It is an asset of ours.
Thank you. Yeah.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I will bring a report forward to a future meeting for the Melbourne Caravan Park.
Thank you. Any further questions for next meeting? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 29, business paper, items for noting. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Jones, seconded by Councillor Durkin. Does anybody wish to call any of those items for noting at all? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 30 is matters of urgency. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Does anybody have anything of an urgent nature? Nope. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 31 is Committee of the Whole section of the meeting. Could I have a mover that we go into Committee of the Whole, please? Councillor Oldham's moved that. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Jones. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. So we're now in Committee of the Whole, and Councillor Batten has called item 23. Do you wish to move that?
Yes, please.
Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Councillor Batten, you wish to speak to item 23?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I'll just make some comments in that when considering whether to support or otherwise with this particular item, it comes as no surprise, I don't think, that we do have this in front of us, because you may recall that the presentation from the proponents previously with regard to truck movements, we asked the question about the adequacy of what they're proposing at the time and predicted that we would actually get this coming forward. So it's not unexpected that we would get this request for amendment to the approval. The second thing is that in the actual documentation, it refers to the removal of 0.3 of a hectare of trees and vegetation on the road verge. And considering that, again, I sought the wise counsel of the Deputy General Manager of Cavon Services with regard to this, because what I thought about at the time was no longer should we be just accepting that whether it's a proponent like this or anybody else just goes in and removes vegetation without thinking about the consequences of it. Now, the triggers under the Biodiversity Act are not reached, so that's not going to force any proponent, whether it's this one or anyone else, to do that. So what I would suggest is that we recommend to the proponent that they consider at least planting an equivalent area of vegetation within the property itself with an appropriate mix of species, both trees and understory species. Right? Now, I'm not moving that as a formal motion. I'm just simply saying that that we would recommend that they consider doing that.
It's just a comment at this stage.
It's just a comment. It's just a comment that we would. There are broader implications, obviously. I mean, it could potentially, if I was to move it as a formal motion, it could bog us down in bureaucracy. They could come back and say, "Oh, look, we don't like that," and come back and just bog our staff down in unnecessary bureaucracy and their staff. So I think a better way to do it would be for the proponent to simply, in good faith, actually accept the fact that yes, they're removing vegetation, whilst it's mostly regrowth and there are only a few trees of significance. They've got an opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to some environmental sustainability as a business holder in Cavon Council.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion on item 23? Councillor Weaver.
Mr Mayor, when this came up before, my big concern was the entry-exit onto Escort Way. And it's even worse now because it was 12 movements of vehicles and now it's 49 vehicles. And to me, that area is quite busy. Escort Way is a busy road. And I know just pulling out of there when we went for an inspection, the cars were just flying through there. Why is it, and this is just a question, why is it that when Westline went in on the cargo road, which isn't anywhere near as busy as the Escort Way, that we had to, or they had to, do a double lane turning area and all of that to get into the lane that they use? And these people on Escort Way aren't doing anything like that.
Well, I guess I can only speculate, I suppose, at this point in time, unless the good Assistant General Manager might want to answer that.
Would you like me to have a crack at that one?
I was going to have a go, but anyway, you can go.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the response is that it's based on the scale of the development. So the limestone mine is dealt with as a mine. It's based on the actual tonnage extraction rate. This site too is capped to a extraction rate, annual extraction rate. The traffic variation that's being sought is still relative to the tonnage of extraction. So it doesn't mean that that site will operate to maximum vehicles every workday. They are still capped to the 150,000 tonne per year extraction, which means campaign rates. It means that there will be concentrated times where traffic may reach those standards and other times when the site will be inoperative. So it's, please don't take those conditions as meaning that that is 6 days a week, that level of traffic, because you've got to read the two together, the traffic and the annual tonnage extraction rate.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Thank you. Any further discussion? All right. It's a division. I need a show of hands. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's unanimous. Thank you. All right. That moves us on to, out of the ordinary meeting, to our closed section of the meeting.